Robeauté is developing a neurosurgical micro-robot to diagnose, treat, and monitor the brain. So today, brain intervention is quite invasive, and so to be able to change the way we minimally invasively dialogue with the brain, to diagnose, treat, and monitor by attaching different extensions to the micro-robot is our main goal. So today we're in preclinical stages, and the first application that we are going for is tumor advanced biopsy to be able to understand what's going on locally in the brain. And the beauty of a micro-robot is it can move non-linearly through the brain tissue, not in the blood, to address different pathological areas. And so we're starting with tumor biopsy, and then afterwards we're going to deliver the treatment right exactly where it needs to go in the brain.
Okay, so what is the time frame around that? You start with a biopsy. What's the time frame, and what are the regulatory hurdles that you need? Are regulators open to this idea of robots crawling around in our brains?
Well, regulators are very familiar with the limitations of current standards of surgical tools, and so they are very welcoming. We've had multiple conversations with the FDA, early conversations with European regulators also, and there's real appetite for change in this space. There are 1 billion people affected by brain disease. That's 1 in 8 of us. So stakes are very high, and today, very little works in the brain. It's not like other organs where, access isn't a real problem. Here, you can't just take an extra slice. If you do that, you might be taking away the patient's ability to speak, to walk, to recognize their loved ones. So precision is a very, very key element, and micro-robots will be able to do just that. Of course, we're working with them, with regulators, both in the US and Europe. Closely.
Okay, and when do you expect patients could benefit from this?
Yeah, so we see our first application, so tumor biopsy in the ORs by 2028, and then drug delivery by 2030.
Okay, so drug delivery is another function of these robots, potentially, in the years to come.
Absolutely.
Joana, talk to us about the importance of the US market. Is the US market your primary market at this point?
Yes, it definitely is. Europe comes with some more regulatory constraints for the category of devices that we're developing, so a Class 3 device. And generally, even as a market, the US is a lot larger. It's a more important market in terms of volume. Today, 10% of surgeries, I'd say even higher, around 15% of surgeries are robotically assisted in the US, where it's 3% in the rest of the world. So we have some catching up to do in Europe in terms of adoption of innovative devices. So we'll definitely start from the US, but keep in mind that we do want to be able to treat European patients as well, and we're building a global company. The stakes, as I was saying, are very high, and we were born in Europe, and we want to be able to bring this technology back to European patients too.
Is Europe conducive to that, Joana? You talk about the importance of the US market, the lead they have in automating some of these surgeries versus Europe. We've discussed at length the challenges around raising long-term capital in Europe, the challenges around listing in Europe, the regulatory burden. Is Europe doing enough to support businesses like yours to thrive and grow into global businesses?
Honestly, we can be doing more. We can do a lot more on all those fronts you mentioned. From a regulatory perspective, there was a change in device regulation that made things a lot more complicated for companies like mine. But I believe we have a new generation of investors, of backers, like the ones that joined us in this round, Plural, Cherry, as you were mentioning, the Local Globe, that really believe in creating and in supporting European champions in category-defining industries. So I think we're going in the right way. We can accelerate if we need to keep up. We should accelerate if we need to keep up with America. Definitely.
Okay. You've raised $28 million US. Do you raise again this year? And would you ever consider listing in Europe?
So, very good question. Thank you. Honestly, so we're very early stage. we raised for the next, I'd say, 2.5 years, we're comfortable. And this is going to take us all the way to our human trials, proving that navigation of a micro-robot through brain tissue is safe. This is a critical inflection point to secure partnerships, because we're developing an agnostic device to which you can plug multiple extensions that address different pathologies. We won't develop all the extensions. We count on partnerships, so that is a critical point. And this funding that we managed to raise brings us to that inflection point and a little beyond. So we're not raising now, and definitely our ambition is to create this global brand and explore those different verticals. So we do consider an IPO, but for the moment, we would, if I had to choose, go more onto the US market than the European one, for sure.